Hello, myself Sunil Ramkrishnan, and this is also one of the part of attraction and the speed of the attraction. So here basically we in last video basically saw that the education system basically how it's connected with the attractions. I will take one best example. Basically, lots of people basically might be thinking basically how basically you can say that education system are directly connected with the human needs. Then one example basically one person basically has given. The example was one chartered accountant person. Basically, this just taking as an example. In real, basically, it can be any degree. One chartered accountant person basically got the degree when basically he cleared in first attempt, and he was boy. He cleared in first attempt. So basically, his energy basically started used by the medical industry. They told that basically this energy basically is good in the medical industry. So for that, basically, they starting the as per the experience, basically, they connected his energy into medicine creation. Just see, basically, if the chartered accountant person energy basically connected into medicine industry basically, and they started producing medicine from his energy basically, medicine from his energy basically. That is basically the mathematics brain basically. Chartered accountant is a mathematics brain, but he cleared everything in first attempt basically. That's why basically they used, and medicine industry basically say that there should not be any error. So they used his energy basically into medicine industry. They started creating medicine from his energies basically, from his energy body. So basically they basically given him big post basically. They basically given him good salary basically in crores of rupees basically per month basically he was getting the salary. He basically got car. He basically got vehicle, bungalows. So like this, basically, his energy basically was captured by the medicine industry basically. So just see, basically, the education system basically has attracted the medicine industry also. So the human need basically creation say that if the person basically as per education basically his as per his qualification basically he gets the good certification, good marks basically, according to that basically his human needs basically gets adjusted basically. So basically when he gets the good mark in 12th, when he gets the good mark in graduation, that time basically his energy basically is already allocated by the set of certain companies basically. So certain companies basically keeps on watch in schools, in colleges, IITs, IIMs, MBAs, Harvard, Oxford, MS University, like Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel University. Like this, basically, there are many colleges, basically, like Delhi University. Like this, basically, there are many colleges. They keeps on watching. They keeps on basically watching because nowadays, basically, the video cameras are also there. Basically, the person basically each and every class basically contains videos cameras. So company basically gets the authority of the video cameras, and then basically the experts basically who basically say that basically they can judge the people just within 1 or 2 hours basically. So they basically takes the approval basically from the colleges of the cameras of the classes basically. They takes the approval also. Like this basically the companies basically hires basically the employees basically when basically they are doing the study only. Basically. Rest of thing basically are just as per the basically you can say formality basically, interviews everything basically. So you can just imagine basically how dangerous the things is basically. Not only dangerous, but it's very dangerous actually. Few people says that how basically it is dangerous. It is just attracting the human bodies, sorry, human bodies energies. But here the main thing is attraction behind this. The main thing is MBA degree equal to 250 cities. So the MBA degree contains 15 books, 15 books basically is created from 250 cities. MCA degree basically created from 300 300 cities. But 300 city basically, when the MBA, MCA or MBA person basically when are doing the study, that time basically they are not into the direct attraction from the buildings, because it's not possible basically. It's basically not possible. How basically one person basically can attract the building basically at building's energy basically? That is very impossible basically. It's not practically it is not possible nowadays, because blood cells basically has not generated up to that level basically. It's not created up to that level that buildings basically energies basically attracts to human bodies. For that basically the concept created like that is 250 cities energies basically are taken from the power companies and energy companies. Then they do the filtration, they adds lots of things, then basically they sends the data to the power companies energies data to the each and every house, each and every colleges, each and every colleges. Like this basically they takes the data of the 250 cities. So it's very tough basically. It's not, it seems to be very easy, but practically it's very tough. That's why basically the syllabus never gets changed. This is the reason, no, why basically the big degrees basically syllabus doesn't get changed basically. What is the reason behind that? There might be some reason. In IT industry, every time basically the software changes, but in big degree, basically, why it doesn't get changed? Reason is this basically the creation, basically, the physical creation, basically that can't change, that can update, but it can't change. That's why basically the education system basically is up to that level creation. So these all things are basically normal, basically. Each and every professors of each and every university, basically, they 100% knows this. They have the places also basically. For example, one MCA or MBA or BCA or MBBS professor basically are doing giving the training to, sorry, teaching the students basically. So they told that basically these all are the places basically from you where you gets the energy basically. And they basically told that these all are the power companies basically connected with this university. So they were basically responsible to get the power supply from those cities, and supposed to give the power supply to each supposed to give the energies of that each and every books basically, that is basically the MBA books, MBBS books and the MCA books syllabus to particular students, so that their brain basically can accept that things basically what they are reading basically. Otherwise it's the brain basically is just dumb basically. How basically brain is basically understanding then the things basically written is telling this? That's basically through the power supply basically, the energy supply basically. When you read the thing books, when you read the books, keeps on reading the books, then basically you gets the power supply from the particular cities basically. According to that basically you able to understand the things basically what actually it's written. Otherwise how your brain basically understand the things basically, how your brain basically understand the things? That is basically few people says that it's a practical example, right? When you basically are studying basically the things basically, when you read the thing basically, then by default basically you should able to understand the things basically. But it doesn't, it's not like that basically. Practically it's not like that. Practically thing is the city basically gives the energy, the power company gives the energy, power companies in between the students and the um that cities basically. So it seems very easy basically. Just once 250 cities, then power company just need to take the data and just send the data to students. But practically it's very tough basically. They need to collect lots of things. They need to check basically the which type of books basically they are reading. They need to check basically which colleges basically are, because according to the colleges basically the energies are basically, few colleges say that basically we basically from our syllabus basically we generate apples and oranges only. So according to the apple and oranges, the power company has to send the data basically. Otherwise it will be just confusing basically. When the basically the for example college people basically, one college basically told that we our people basically is going to generate orange and apple only. Then basically the companies basically hires the people according to the apple and orange human needs basically, and according to the demand and supply of the human apple and orange basically. According to that basically they takes the students basically, they do the investment of the students basically, they trains them, they give the investment to the orange industry and the apple industry. Company basically gets the benefits according to that, they gets the business basically. So it's a business chain basically, you can say. It's a business chain also basically, you can say, which is basically created long before basically by the set of groups basically, you can say. So you can just imagine the things basically, the practical things basically of the business industry basically, you can say. The practical things of the education industry, the practical things of the education industries getting jumped into the human needs creation. They have already jumped basically. The education industry is already jumped into the human need creation. That's why basically they don't charge basically the in the education. They don't charge too much by the, they don't charge the students basically, but they takes the money from the each and every sectors basically, each and every industries basically. They gets the money, they gets the donation, they gets the donation from the companies basically, so that the company basically gets the power. If they giving the donation, then only basically they gets the power of the each and every classes, each and of the students, each and every things basically. So it's not so easy basically, it seems basically that it's so easy basically. Just we need to give the donation, we just need to attend the class through the video camera. Just we need to see basically 1 or 2 hours basically how what actually student is doing, how the students are basically reading, how basically they are getting it, and how basically according to what level basically the students are writing the exam, and according to that basically how basically they are getting the results. And according to that basically their energy has generated, they check the few company basically says that we check the blood cells, we check the brain cells, and then basically only we hire, so that basically our creation basically will not is not supposed to be fail. The company basically which is going to which is telling that we are going to generate apple and orange, that it's not supposed to be false. So just see basically up to dangerous level basically the company. These are basically things basically company secretaries, the company setup people basically they knows basically these are things. Because the law basically is connected here basically. The law things basically gets connected here. Few company says that basically you just have to give the notice period of 1 month. Few company says that you just need to give the notice period 15 days. Few company says that we basically terminate without even any notice, but we pay the money. So there are basically many companies basically, that basically depends upon the law basically which they have created. The offer letter was basically when you get the offer letter, that time basically you signs the offer letter, right? You signs the offer letter, and according to the offer letter basically which is signed by you and given by and submitted to company, according to that basically your work starts basically. According to that basically you give the notice period when you leave the company. According to that basically you gives gets the money. These all things are basically normal in the human resource industry basically. But the here the main thing is the human resource group basically who hires the people basically. They don't hire basically according to the basically the normal people basically who are basically the managers, senior manager. They basically might be knowing these things basically which I have told. One person told that basically we need few resources who are basically good into management side, and they should be good into the particular domain basically. Then basically they told that according to that basically one experiment basically is already done on the CRM domain basically by the TCS group. So which board blood cells basically can take which type of CRM projects, that basically they have already done. So they have already experimented the thing basically, and that they have dumped into the. They have already submitted the project of this basically CRM project, and then basically they have submitted the reports basically. And according to the report, basically that human resource industry basically, that is basically the global industry, they have submitted certain level of reports, and according to that basically they hires the human CRM resources basically. So each and every domain basically is like this. Banking domain is there, investment domain is there, financial domain is there, education domain is there, CRM domain is there, ERP domain is there. Like this, basically there are many domains basically. CRM domain, education, ERP domain is there. Like this, there are many domains basically which is experimented, like the CRM domain, which was experimented by the TCS company. We have taken example of TCS basically. In real, basically, it can be any company. So you can just imagine basically the things basically ongoing. The things basically ongoing. The things basically which ongoing. So like this basically you can just imagine the things basically. The education sector basically which says that it's very easy to handle. But the education minister basically might be knowing these things basically which just now I basically discussed. Each and every state basically have education minister basically. Education minister means basically education minister there is only one basically, but each state basically is controlled by set of education groups basically. They 100% might be knowing this all these things basically, just which basically I just discussed, and they are basically directly connected with the power companies and the energy companies. Like this basically few projects are also basically created, that few people says that MBA basically is having 14 books, and that 14 books basically if you read the 14 books, then basically your if you get this many percentage, then basically your body is going to generate this. If you are in this college, if you are in that college, then basically the things are basically different, because they sends the data. When you read the MBA books, that time basically the colleges basically are connected with the power companies, and they basically says that that this particular person is our student. You send the data according to that basically. So according to that basically they sends the education data. So it seems too easy, but it's not so easy. And few people basically say that we have taken the education through Harvard basically lectures, Oxford lecture basically, which is dumped in the YouTube. And some basically says that we have taken basically the we have studied the MBA and the MCA and each and every things basically from the YouTube basically. That type of people were basically are also there basically, but they basically are not commercially basically used. They are just basically taken the education, but they are not connected with any of the institute basically. But they have a good knowledge basically. They have a good knowledge basically. So you can just imagine the education system basically, and this is also the one of the, and basically mostly basically the in world basically 70 percentage people are educated. So 70 percentage people basically gets the education. Their education basically has to be kept active. For that basically they have to send the data, education data basically you can say. So you can just imagine basically the education system basically which is created. I have not created it. That's basically created by the set of groups basically. They have created it. And this is also basically, it seems to we say that basically it's very uh, very what to say, it's not a good education system, it's not a that this that. But basically when you create the system basically, that time basically you will know basically, yeah basically somebody has done some good work basically, somebody has done some good hard work basically, then only basically we are able to take get the education, then only we are basically getting the jobs, then only basically we are getting the jobs, then only we are basically getting the jobs. So like this, basically, you can just imagine the hard work basically done by the set of groups basically. So they basically never comes into the picture. The group basically who created this system basically, just now basically I told, 250 cities, 300 cities, MBA, MCA, MBBS, these all degrees. They do the study. Their mind basically connects with that 250, 300 cities. This basically is one education system basically. This system basically never comes into the picture basically. This system basically never comes into the picture basically. Nobody basically can understand actually what actually this thing is basically, because there is no time basically. There is no time basically. But in real basically these all are the system basically which is created by set of groups basically. So I have taken one example of the chartered accountant. One attempt that person basically cleared the chartered accountancy. The medical industry basically, the medical companies basically directly hired that particular person and given 1 crore job basically, 1 crore rupees salary job, and he was basically placed in one of the good company. Why he was placed in one of the good company? Because the medical company basically can easily able to take his energy basically, because he is already allocated to the medicine creation basically. So just see basically the things basically are mapped basically. So these all are basically the software industry basically projects basically, you can say. These all are the basically human resource software industry projects, and basically mostly basically the data science project. Nowadays people says that data science is going to be very huge basically. So these all are basically data science projects basically, you can say. And data science projects basically are created in some technology, or basically it has to be designed also by the set of managers, directors, and size. Um, we vice president and CEO basically gets the projects, and they know basically things what is going to be created from the projects. They basically maps the power company when the project basically starts. That time basically he basically knows the power supply which is getting generated for which purpose. Because one example I have already taken, the Microsoft toolkits basically, which basically Microsoft sends. According to that, basically the things basically get created. One person basically was creating the CRM project, and that CRM project was going to generate vegetables. He basically never able to track that basically I am generating vegetables. But in real basically he was generating the CRM project. But the software development kit basically, that is the Microsoft development kit basically, which the Microsoft group basically has sent that to the software company. That was basically they basically has mapped that this CRM system is going to generate vegetables. So according to the entire mapping system was basically done. So this is also basically one of the attraction objects of the education system.